For decades, the climate crisis is something I've talked and written about day in, day out. But it's only after getting caught in a recent and frankly terrifying thunderstorm, afraid for our lives, it's only that really brought home what I've been fighting against all these years, to me, in existential, horrifying detail. We're almost used now to seeing news of devastating floods, dangerous heat waves, deadly wildfires, supercharged by climate decline. Every time we turn on the TV or look at the news or our phones, but it's mostly somewhere else. Until now. We had New York City recently. Before that we had Spain, Greece and the Netherlands, all in the last month or so. And in my case, in a smaller way, but it still felt pretty bad, France. We travelled from the UK by train to holiday in an area of central France we know well, and had paid a visit to a favourite local cafe bar. It was hot and humid as we sat outside with a few friends. As part of our conversation, they warned us that there was a possibility of a really extreme thunderstorm in our area that afternoon. We carried on enjoying a drink. We're from the UK after all, we're used to changeable weather. Then in the distance we heard thunder, but it wasn't like anything I'd ever heard before. It was simply continuous, constant, rolling, growing thunder. It then started to rain, albeit very gently at first. "It'll be okay," I told my wife, with a reassuring smile as we sheltered under umbrellas outside the bar. When it started getting harder, and then harder again, we, foolishly as it turns out, decided to make a break for it. We got wet on the short dash to the hire car, but we mainly found the whole thing merely amusing, so far. It was on the way home, it was on the drive, that a sliver of fear started to work its way into my mind. I wasn't too bothered by the poor visibility. Even as it got poorer, it was a simple, straight road with virtually no traffic at all. It was when the rain changed to hail, and not like any hail I've experienced before, that the sliver of fear started to grow. The hail slammed into the windscreen in bigger and bigger chunks. My wife started to get really scared. It felt like we were in a movie. This was my most close and personal encounter ever yet with a swift, mini disaster of a climate nature in the making. When the visibility dropped to near zero, I pulled over, but as soon as I could, I got going again, as I did not want to be in the car if the hail actually started to shatter the windscreen, as I saw on some scary video footage from Spain recently. The noise as the hail hammered down was unearthly, our sense of vulnerability by this point quite extreme. My wife was sitting beside me, yet sometimes when she shouted to me, I still couldn't hear what she said over the din of the hail. While I drove reasonably slowly through the edge of our village, visibility was so bad, and I was so distracted by the terrible drilling of the hail onto our roof and windows, that I still almost hit the chicane. Eventually we made it home and raced inside. Outside, while the hailstones that were still there after the storm were not quite the size of golf balls, they were the size of large coins or larger, and roughly spherical like giant gob marbles, but also jagged and rough. As the storm started to pass, a chink opening of blue sky opens up into the heavens above. An extraordinary vista. It was almost as if one was looking up to God. Of course, we were very lucky. Our windscreen didn't shatter. Many people have experienced much, much worse. Thousands were killed in Libya alone after catastrophic floods recently. But our experience brought home the fact that everyone and everywhere really is now on the climate front line. Business, holidays, everything is going to be increasingly defined by this new abnormal. When you experience something like this, it is different from all the theory and hearsay. When you've been right there trying to figure out whether to pull over or to drive, trying to estimate the likelihood that these hailstones would actually shatter the windscreen, and then it's different. This is our lives. We need to all focus on the one question that will matter, that your children, your nephews and nieces will ask. What did you do once you knew? This recent experience of mine brought home to me, like nothing ever has before, that this is coming for us all. And there is not one of us, not a one of us, who is yet ready.